The potato heads are at it again, Josh. Here we are. War of the Sontarans, the most recent Flux episode, just aired. And I liked it. I really did like it. Because between the trailer and what was released, it did come together really well. And I felt it was a bit confusing with everyone like in different places, and it just kept doing these cuts back and forth. But like, what were your initial thoughts? What did you like?
Well, my thoughts of it was, it's actually one of my problems with a movie called Wonder Woman.
1984, I think.
1984, yeah. Where it was trying to tell two different stories. Now, both stories were interesting. Both of them had cool characters that we wanted to talk to, but because you had two different stories kind of opposite of each other happening at the same time, when you were starting to just get into one of them, it switched to the other one, and then you forget everything, and then you switch back. And honestly, I felt they could have spliced it right down the middle and just made two separate episodes. One where, Yaz was going with Vinda to the temple in the planet of time. Very creative names, I know. And then had the Sontaran one separate, because you had Dan, you had the doctor, and you had I forgot her name, the doctor, the doctress who was working at the British hotel. I forgot her name.
Mary Seacole.
Mary Seacole, yeah. That story, of the two, I much preferred it. I've been waiting for Sontarans for so long, ever since Poison Sky, which has been, good 9 years now?
9 years or so, yeah.
I think it's actually 8 years, but it's been way
It's great. It's great to see him again.
And the way they did the Sontarans, I love them. They combined not only the comedy that I've always loved them for, but also the brutality, the terror, the actual fear part. I was really worried they were going to make them, especially in that first little scene, it looked promising. I was just really worried they were going to go down the complete comedy route, but they didn't, and it felt
realistic.
Yeah, exactly.
They are a real threat, and I personally, there were a few confusing elements, because one was we kept cutting back and forth between these different sort of settings, and I guess timelines, because
we were going
the temple of
what was it called? It was some
whatever.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was in present day. The doctor and the other guys, the Sontarans, they were in present day, but then you had the doctor on Earth with Mary Seacole and the general.
Yeah, and back in time.
One thing I found confusing was the Mori. The Mori has, I guess, broken. And they were creating a time fracture.
From what I understood.
But then I thought, okay, so that's what's harming the Tardis, right? But then we find out that the Sontarans are interfering with time, with infiltration all across time.
Yeah.
So that's what's messing with the Tardis? We don't know yet. I don't think it's been established.
Or is it the Flux? There's so many different time-based... And then that's not even going to be the last one, because Weeping Angels, bro. This isn't a part of the episode, but I've been thinking about this a lot since it aired.
The Ood turn up sometimes.
Yeah. The Ood, I don't understand, but the Weeping Angels for this storyline make the most sense. What do the Weeping Angels feed on?
Fear?
No, they feed on the time.
Oh.
They feed on the time of people, they snatch them out of reality and they send them back hundreds of years, and they feed on the time that they could have had. So imagine that. But all of time is now messed up. Who do you think's gonna be getting thick? The Weeping Angels, bro. They're gonna be mishmashing all across reality.
At the same time, though, they kind of just stood there for the first episode. We don't see them in this episode.
Yeah. It's really strange.
I mean, that's quite an abstract construct to suggest for the Weeping Angels, which makes sense, but it's never really been that explained in any Doctor Who episode.
They're never really explained. You just know, they're
there.
Yeah, they're hunting down people.
Either they have a purpose, or they're just having a nice little cameo, which was what I felt happened in episode 1.
Yeah,
but
the actual episode itself, the Sontaran stuff, I loved it. It was great. Dan, still the best part of the new... Well, he's one of the best new parts alongside... Because I love him. He's so stupid. Like, he ran straight into a Sontaran camp full of thousands of fully armed Sontarans with nothing but a wok and his phone, which he recorded literally everything and was the...
Why have the Sontarans not come up with, like, a cover for the probic vent, for Christ's
Exactly.
sake? Put a water bottle cover over the top of it so you don't get penetrated in the probic vent.
They are literally invincible in that sense.
They have no weakness other than that.
Yeah.
And also what I found confusing is, how would you have found out that the probic vent was the weak spot? Because a Sontaran, if he had
always
wit...
faces first.
Because Dan's parents were the one that told him about that, and I thought a Sontaran, if it had wit, wouldn't show their back to commoners like humans.
No, their whole Sontaran theology, if you will, you always face someone forwards in a battle.
Yeah,
you
they
never
would not
turn
turn
your
their back.
Exactly. That's the only thing I didn't like about the Sontarans. They felt way too easily defeated. You're telling me this giant army of genetically engineered super soldiers who were able to travel against all of time only hit Earth and only hit in 2 major time periods.
And are only defeated with a hit to the back of the neck. I just feel like some of the stuff going on in this episode was very convoluted. It had a lot of substance, just like the last episode. I still don't know what the purpose of Azure and Swarm are.
Oh.
We've barely gotten any background because...
They're just... I like them because they're the first, they're the first new monster I've actually enjoyed since, I don't know, the Toothhead back in the original series.
Yeah.
But, I don't
Tim
remember.
Shaw.
Yeah, I don't remember his actual name. I like him. I just want to know more about them. I feel like if throughout all of this, there's going to be a new monster for each episode, or maybe 2 in the next one, because there's both Weeping Angels and freaking Cybermen again. But I'm just sitting here thinking, well, if they're going to be the main villain, they don't really do much. This whole series, what have they done? They've escaped prison. They've left. They've gone. Swarm got his sister. And then they got the Dark Side ripoff Passenger, and then they went to the temple. They blew up a bunch of cubes, and now they're I don't know. They're trying
capturing Yaz.
Yeah, trying to power the what. It
looks to me like every episode is going to end on a cliffhanger here.
Yeah, and there's some sort of new Cyberman that's a mishmash of all previous old designs.
I just want to see the Gallifreyan-esque Cyberman again.
Because they were so cool, but they got killed in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But if they were to return, there's only one way they could, and that's with the Master.
It's not clear, and it's not outlined. You haven't given any hints, so perhaps it's not, but I'm still convinced Swarm could be the Master, but I don't think so, because he's got this other person wandering around with him as Azure. So I don't think that could have anything to do with the Master.
Yeah.
The Master is most likely going to return in season 14 if it's not the Master here.
Yeah. And all of this entire episode, they've completely glossed over the fact that there is still the Flux, a giant death storm that is racing across the entire galaxy. But just because they protected Earth, it's all good.
Yeah.
Now it's going to literally kill the rest of the solar system.
The Flux has to, it's about the Flux. It's called the Flux, so...
Yeah. And it wasn't even the main focus besides the fact that the Sontarans snuck in the second before.
And the history seems to be... I don't get that. How, if they snuck in one relative point in time, when the Flux was happening, because it hasn't always been happening...
No.
How have they rewritten history and got Russia to be Sontar?
Yeah, that was very funny, but I was still thinking about it.
I was amazed. I was this could be cool, but then it dawned on me that it kind of made no sense.
The only explanation I have for that, Dulcie, is they had those ships that they said could travel throughout time, but they only did it. They did it once. They already have done it because Sontar existed at the very start of the episode before they even launched the ships. It's I don't know.
I felt like the Sontarans were great this episode.
They were great, but I felt
I hope we see them again. If they just discard them next episode, I am going to be kind of peeved. But of course, you have to make room for other villains.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I don't think that's my major problem. Most of these villains don't have enough substance to be a whole episode, alongside Swarm, alongside all the other side plots, just by themselves. Like the Sontarans, they weren't even intertwined throughout the entire episode, but they weren't. It's weird. They were almost not the focus. Almost. Like, the Swarm was doing stuff the whole time, and his stuff seemed a lot more scary because he was actually doing something that we don't even realize.
It's getting to that point in where there's going to be a lot of questions from episode 3 onwards until episode 6. And that's the thing. There's probably still going to be unanswered questions.
Yeah, we already have unanswered questions, and we literally have no idea. That's the big thing with me with this series. I love it. It's great to see Doctor Who again, but it's doing so many things so quickly that it has to that it's having to gloss by the logic, and then you just sat there thinking, well, yeah, Sontar is pretty cool, but how?
How is that possible?
Yeah. Who is the Swarm? Why is the Swarm so crazy? Who is the Division? Like, they completely gloss over the Division again.
Yeah.
Like, they have an easy situation to talk about it right there at the end of the episode where the doggo is just kind of standing there. It's like, I
like the Scooby-Doo joke in this one.
It's hilarious, yeah.
But the thing is, we are only at episode 2, so all of these questions will probably be answered over the course of the next 3 episodes.
Yeah, and if they're not, I'm gonna be very confused. Because I understand a little bit of mystery makes it interesting, but you need to know some stuff to actually gauge what you're watching.
Yeah.
Like, why should we care about this random 1800s guy who built tunnels under Liverpool like 300 years ago?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Give us some context, Doctor.
Yeah.
But
anyway, guys, we'll have to wait for next week. We will probably do some more analysis and trailers within this week.
Yeah, I will be trying to do I want to start a series about going into a deep dive of monsters in Doctor Who. And I want to start with the Sontarans, and I'll probably do it as the main monster for each of these next episodes.
Me and Josh may do a trailer reaction for episode 3.
Yeah.
But we'll see you next week, guys. Thank you for coming.